Greetings, friends, and welcome to Enigma Night Gaming. My name is Liara, and I will be your guide in today's adventure. Today we are back to playing the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Adventures, if you will, because we're playing the first game of this series. But we are on the second case of this, which is the adventure of the Great Unbreakable Speckled Band, right? I believe that was the name of it. Yeah, the Great Unbreakable Speckled Band. So is there really such a thing? Well, let's go ahead and hop in and see if we can find out. Oh boy.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I waited with bated breath. In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern's shutter, and the room slowly came into view. Sholmes was staring intently at one particular corner when he started whispering to me. The victim's most perplexing final words. The Speckled Band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which you referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs
like Sherlock
bared
Holmes.
as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
I was thinking it was a ring. Are we actually talking about a snake? I wonder. Alright. 9th of January, 6:37 a.m. On board the steamship Beria. Okay, Beria. Beria. It's like a cartoon.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. Pray, do excuse me. The cabin
is
door
like
was bolted
Sherlock
from the
Holmes.
inside when the man was killed. No marks to suggest the bolt was tampered with in any way. So, this would appear to be a locked room mystery. In his final moments, the victim scrawled a message on the floor.
What does it say?
Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And
Okay.
the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time.
I guess that means
This is
alive.
a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message.
Well, they're in
fact,
different
I deduce it was
languages.
written by someone of a different nationality.
Really? They are in different languages.
This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident by the victim himself, I would venture. Well,
He's got all kinds of cool chemicals.
what have we here?
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait.
That won't be necessary. You
Oh
see,
boy.
in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. I need cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
Is he hiding in the closet?
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are
Is
you?
it?
And where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world.
Okay.
Sherlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
Okay, right. There we go. Gotta love the name twisting. Oh boy. Sherlock Sholmes. Okay. Ugh, my head is throbbing. What's going on? Something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Now we're back to ourself. We're on a ship. Wait, I can't move. Oh man, are we accused of another murder? What the? Why am I in handcuffs? So you wake up now, Oh, it's the Russian guy? We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You... you found me then. Ah, we found you, and now you pay. Criminal. How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, sorry. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Okay, it's her. Alright. Why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Mr. Sato. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Where is he? Where's Kazuma? Uh-oh. Ha! You pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. Uh-oh. What? What? Kazuma's body was discovered not long ago. Uh-oh. Here, in this very cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please, do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. Oh man. And these handcuffs? Surely you don't think Even she thinks we did? I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. Oh man, we just escaped being accused of murder, and now we're accused again? What? No! Out of the frying pan into the fire. Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha 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 ha. Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor? I thought I was gonna die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. Were we stowing away in there? I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. Ugh, I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant, Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, that would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. So yeah, he wasn't wanting to incriminate her. He didn't want her to get in trouble for this, because then she'd have the guilt of keeping it a secret. Anyway, it's about time that the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I tell you what, why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? And then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. Is that what was written on the banner? We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. Man. We leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Don't make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer. Duh, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on this ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susada-san? She's mad at us. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you, too. Those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. She's very angry. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I agree. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Okay, tell me about Kazuma's death. He really has been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream? And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. What do you mean? There's no access to the cabin via a portal window, and the bolts on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or to put it another way, the culprit can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susada-san, you have to tell me. The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died? The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course, he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So, presumably that means there were no obvious external signs of injury then. Well, that's good. And that's true, yes. Alright, what about the incident? Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand it. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably, that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin, after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. Was he training when he got killed? I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning, he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susada-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. Okay. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, that was Kazuma-sama, collapsed on the floor. And he was writing whatever that is, right? Presumably. And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard for me to believe for me too. Trust me. Now I've told you everything that I know, so it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. My head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Were we drugged? Is that what's going on? Alright, stow away. Why are you even on board the ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No. That would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. I don't understand. Did something happen that would have changed this? Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? Is he afraid to be alone? Is he worried about being in a new country by himself? It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you that, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it. I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. Okay, but on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then they could be lawyers together? Then what? Nothing. Forget it. I feel like he has a burden he needed to have help bearing, perhaps?
Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing. That he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you.
Yes, maybe. But something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes, then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. Maybe he had to do something and he needed a lawyer. Susato-san, I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on this ship, I mean.
If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association.
That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. Alright, last night.
If you're not the culprit, then tell me. What happened last night here in this cabin?
Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. She's not gonna believe us at all. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. And then I got myself into that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. After that, I
fell asleep?
Well, yes.
So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed?
Well, yes. I mean, to be fair, y'all don't know how he died. He could have been poisoned and just fell over. That wouldn't have really made any sound. I mean, that's how the last murder happened, was poison. I know it sounds unbelievable. Really, I do, but it's the truth. I mean, if it was like a fight scene, then maybe. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing like anything.
Really?
She's thinking. Is something wrong?
Oh, no, it's... Please forget it.
Susato-san, you have to believe me. I didn't do it.
I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there is no one else who could possibly have done this.
Alright, so we're gonna have to find out who the culprit is. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? I can't take this.
Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen.
I'm sorry, but Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around, my hands tied, while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen.
Well, what do you propose to do then?
I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! She's like karate chopped us. She's like, I don't think so. What the?
That was a Susato takedown.
Susato what? What martial art form is that?
I'm going to need you to prove it.
Sorry? Prove it?
Yes, your innocence. I need evidence.
But how am I supposed to...
Have you forgotten already what you achieved just a few weeks ago? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law.
Yeah, and now we're handcuffed again, so you know. I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Okay, so what does this say? Kazuma would stick this over doors in my wardrobe for me. It says, keep out in Japanese, though I'm not sure the Russian crew can actually read it. Alright, so let's examine this. Alright. This is the paper seal I wrote for the wardrobe. I remember working really hard to make it, but I'll never forget how Kazuma reacted. Do you expect the Russian crew to be able to read that? He said. Still, I was sure people would get the idea, even if they couldn't read it. So he used it anyway. And it worked. I don't know, the crew thought it was creepy or what, but no one opened the doors. Okay, what's on the back here? This is just the tape. You can see the remnants of the glue we used to stick this over the wardrobe doors. Although it wasn't proper glue, of course. We didn't have any of that with us. So I pulverized some rice into a paste to use instead. But to a stowaway like me, every single grain of rice represents precious rations. That's why I spread it as thinly as I possibly could. I couldn't bear to waste any. Okay. That's gonna be more of it, right? Okay. Alright, I don't know what that gives us. I'll have to show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Well, how could we have put that on the door if we killed Kazuma and then climbed into the wardrobe? We couldn't have put that on the door. It would have fallen off because it's very weakly sealed, right? So yes, let's try that. Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before, was this piece of paper stuck over the doors?
Oh, yes it was. I remember clearly.
I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there, just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decided to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well.
Oh, yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them.
But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own.
Yes, that's quite true.
In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. And now she's like, of course.
Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kasuma-sama thought so highly of you.
Thank you, Susato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? She's just shocked.
Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least.
Thank you. So you finally believe me?
I'm sorry, no.
What?
I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position.
What does she think I am, a magician? Well, I mean, she doesn't know us that well.
For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same.
Alright, let's get to work, Susada-san.
Please, don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts.
Oh.
I shall be watching you to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example.
Right. Okay. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating here. Examine everything I can. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Okay. So, we can't say anything else with her, right? Okay. We've already said everything we can. So, let's go ahead and examine stuff in here. Okay. What is... oh. Alright, so... what's this say? These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the SS Burya. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Alright. What's she gonna say? What? Why are you staring at me?
Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide.
Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. Alright.
Oh dear, that won't do.
Oh, what's the matter, Susada-san?
Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused, I forget to look around properly.
Yes, that's not good.
I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san?
Okay.
I'm sure you're careful to look all around using BM, aren't you?
Okay, so we can scroll with B and M.
Now let us investigate all corners of this cabin.
Alright. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. Alright, so let's look over here. Can we... okay, so let's look at this. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. There's also a smear there. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have broken clean in two.
The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Natsuki fastener from a kimono outfit.
I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? I mean, not unless he was giving it to a girl, I wouldn't think. And the mark beside it.
What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue.
Is it like the scraping of a shoe? Yes, you're right. It is the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. So that sounds like it was something on the feet, perhaps. Or at least something that went with them. We've got the sword there.
And that's Kusama-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it.
Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his soul.
I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip.
I suppose that just shows how important it was to him. And now he's gone. But I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. Oh boy. Okay, what else we got? Let's look at this. That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Oops, let's go back.
Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here?
I'm not a dog, Sasada-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how the plate ended up on the floor.
But Kusama-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he?
No, that's right. So he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me.
Oh no! Does that mean poor Kusama-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible.
Now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. Did we get poisoned through the chicken, I wonder? Alright, can we... What's with the table?
There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason.
Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute.
What is it?
That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all.
So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kusama-sama.
No. Alright, we just opened our mouth and inserted our butt there. Seigi. That's the Japanese word for justice. I don't know how to pronounce that. The brush strokes are straight and true, just like Kusama.
Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet can you really look at those characters without feeling shame knowing who drew them so thoughtfully?
Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? She's like, I don't believe you.
Even though you stowed away on the ship.
I mean, yeah. Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. Alright. What about this dude here? Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me? What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal is asking the investigator for information about his crime. Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke.
He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty.
He might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? He's glaring at us. Niet, of course not. Now back to the corner of the room and make silence. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there, he seemed a little flustered. Okay. There's the door.
When I went for help and the crewman forced the door open, this bolt had been firmly closed.
It's quite a small bolt and not particularly sturdy. It just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. The glare. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. She's just like the ultimate glare. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this.
Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid.
When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. It's like every time we come up with something, she's like, nope. Alright, I think we've explored everything over here. Can we look at this picture? I've investigated thoroughly, but I can't find anything out of place. Okay. Let's see. Alright, let's look at this. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way.
And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea. Although he's fallen over as well.
Yes, it's almost as if the whole shelf has been ransacked and everything mown down at once.
I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword training. Do you think?
I seriously doubt it.
Then perhaps... it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage.
I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Maybe.
Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess.
They're all sideways, though. Alright. And you accused us of messing up the crime scene. Let's check out our trunk.
That's a very large traveling case, isn't it?
Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me.
Memories? What do you mean?
Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case.
Ah, yes. I see it says, "This way up," in Japanese.
Which, in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor here.
Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds.
Well, it was less painful than a Sasada takedown. Alright, nothing up here. Let's check out this ink bottle, maybe? Can we? I don't know. It doesn't... Can we look at this? Alright, so we can't look at that in particular. Let's look at the body. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink.
He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. And then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama, no doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it.
I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing.
I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san.
What? Then what language is it?
It pains me to admit it, but I don't know.
It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? They said it was Russian, so I'm very curious about what it means. Alright, let's look at the desk.
This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing.
London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his destination.
It looks as though the last entry is incomplete.
Which means what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue.
Yeah! That's out of the question.
What?
Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts.
But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? She's like, nope, not a chance. Alright, I won't read it. Alright.
Poor Kazuma-sama.
I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? One would think, but I guess that is not to be. Alright, let's go ahead and scooch over. Alright, what do we got? That's his books. And then we got the bed. What is this?
This is, yes, it's a Belcourt contraption, I think.
What do you mean, contraption?
I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants.
Really? That sounds almost magical. She's thinking. Shall we give it a little try?
Yes, in the interest of cultural research, obviously.
Oh boy. So now what happens? We're all just waiting expectantly?
I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people.
No, I'm sure it's just that everyone is busy, that's all. Alright, there's a vent up there. Did anyone see that? Maybe the person went out the vent.
It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhito-san?
I think living isn't quite the right description.
Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout.
The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe, and last night was no exception.
But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin.
No. Sadly, not. She's, not happy about that. Alright, now let's check out this vent.
I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin.
Isn't that a little odd?
What do you mean?
Well, this ventilator, if that's what it is, looks like it must connect to the next door cabin.
Yes, it would appear to. You're right.
But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside.
That's true. Perhaps it's so that rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough, or something like that.
I suppose maybe that's it. Alright, what? Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, that's Herlock Sholmes, right?
Oh, how did he?
You've noticed the man too, have you? I have no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall.
No, Hado-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is?
Well, I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. He looks like an explorer. And is he investigating Kazuma's desk, or is he just playing on it? I can't tell.
Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him.
Am I just imagining it, or does Sasada-san look almost uncontrollably excited?
By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case, if you press space on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them.
Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself.
Oh, please do.
Alright, so we're back to examining. Hello? Can we speak to you? Excuse me, sir? Hello? Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh. This is a critical point in my investigation. What? Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly.
Yes, perhaps that would be for the best.
Okay. Greetings. I hope I didn't see the rest of it. I hope I haven't something. Yeah. Alright, what exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? He's got weird goggles. Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry, what do you see? Feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You have been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. What? Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing toward foreign crimes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. You're a con artist, that's what you are.
But how?
How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining.
Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else?
But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And when the bereaved occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too.
What?
Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. You're insane. Just to be clear, you're talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. She's starting to lose confidence.
So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama?
Okay, you're just blinded with hero worship.
What? And you're plotting a revolution too. It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked.
No, listen, there's no way Hi-ya! And we're on our back again.
Now explain yourself. Tell me everything.
This is ridiculous. Agreed. Agreed.
How could you do it?
For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously.
Oh, forgive me.
And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Was venturing toward foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see? What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more like plain observation. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with brassy certitude, and more often than not, I'm right. Huh? Okay, I don't think you introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The I can't say that word. Inimitable Sherlock Holmes.
So, it's really you, the actual Sherlock Holmes.
The very same. The inimitable actual Sherlock Holmes. Do you know this man, Sasada-san?
The most famous detective in the world, Naruhodo-san. Of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him.
Except for us, apparently. What planet have I been living on then, exactly, right?
We must ask him what he's deduced.
Because they're so accurate?
He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure.
Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? Okay. Great detective. Oh boy. So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it? No, I have no hair. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Sholmes. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication.
Oh yes, Rance Magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I have it sent from England especially.
Yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you've started to think you really are a detective? Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backward. Backward? My trusty biographer reads my greatest detecting achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson? I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form.
A science?
Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furs, and skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is without fail the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago. Except for you were totally wrong. How can he look me in the eye and claim that? Because you're delusional, sir! So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction. And fame. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Okay, what about Kazuma's death? Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything, my dear fellow? Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Ah, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him.
When I became anxious about Kazama-sama this morning, I summoned all of the crew members to force the cabin doors open.
And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective, Herlock Sholmes, was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Ugh. I already don't like this guy. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? Two facts, you say? What would those be? Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please, what two facts were apparent to you when you came into this cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but where were they? Allow me to elucidate. Please do. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes, what made you think the victim was Russian? Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. That is the Russian word for wardrobe.
Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian?
In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. For this young man, Russian. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderob may be the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gardet, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe there at least.
Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly.
Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. If my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. No?
Our school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea.
And I had no idea a detective could get something so wrong. Exactly, right. Like, this is just, like, beyond ridiculous. I took a photograph of the victim and the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. Alright. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. Alright. This was the first time I've actually seen him like this. Oh, man.
Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, yes, thank you. The photograph of the crime scene has been entered into the court record, okay? Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russia and I don't speak Russian. Alright, your deduction just now? Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean? The now famously accurate troubling predicament you find yourself in? Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part. Ah yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Because we look so much like that dude, right? This vessel made a port call at Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian? Exactly?
It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian. because of what Kozuma-sama wrote on the floor.
It was a simple act of reasoning to realize that the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary, one who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you, a villain Bolshevik. No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. Well, you are a Christian revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. Ugh, please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway.
What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower.
Ah, yes. The journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake.
Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder?
And what about the part where you said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also quite clearly stated here in the article. Bolshevik is recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Well, where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you? I've observed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. The article about the revolutionary has been entered into the court record. Okay, so it's an article on the front page of a Russian newspaper. The headline reads, Revolutionary Villain Bolshevik Flees Russia via Shanghai. Alright. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Alright, so what were you just investigating? Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma. Ah, yes, the victim.
Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all?
Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. Yes, I would love to. We see the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but we weren't able to read it. I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Yeah, like tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Susato-san, aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns?
I'm sorry, Naruto-san. What on earth do you mean?
Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely this diary belonging to the victim, it would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, Mikado, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. but this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters, of which I can read precisely. Ha ha ha. So, what was all that showing off about before, then?
If you would be so kind as to show me, I would be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes.
Of course she would. I'm much obliged, my dear madam.
The entry here in Kazuma Sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound.
A whistling sound? It's probably coming from the vent if I had to guess. Those are very deep waters. Pray, go on.
The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Speckled band? What on earth does that mean?
I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before.
The ventilator grill, you say? The man was presumably referring... Let's hear this. Okay. To the lattice there on the wall, which connects to the adjoining cabin, which we already discovered. Yes, the adjoining cabin. Kazuma's diary has been entered into the court record. The diary Kazuma was keeping of his trip to London. According to the last entry he made before his death, he spied what appeared to be a speckled band. Alright. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider, for the time being at least.
Do you have somewhere to go?
As it happens, the victim's writing in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe, and if I am still too long, the seasickness takes hold. If I'm still too long.
Oh, I suppose. So you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to?
Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate, hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. There's no point in trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing.
Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too.
You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So, what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then, and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. What a jerk. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name, indeed.
Naruto-san, what are you just standing there for?
Huh?
We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well.
Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can... Hi-ya! Hopefully this time she's just gonna chop the handcuffs off.
After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate?
As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door.
Good idea.
The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. Alright. Oh, there's another guy in here. Is that...
There's something wrong, Naruhado-san.
Oh, no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before.
Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir.
Yes, what can I do for you? Oh, it's the inspector, isn't it? It's the inspector! Ah! I recognize that face, but it can't be.
Ahem, ahem, ahem.
It is.
I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga.
Hello again. What are you doing here?
I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you, my heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board the ship.
Again?
You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask.
I never expected to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. Let's talk to him. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector?
Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew?
He's like, I can't tell you. I'm so sorry.
This is all my fault. I take full responsibility.
For what?
My orders were to act as Asagi-san's bodyguard.
Who?
It was Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asagi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated.
Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility?
I'm not sure. But these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities.
This is incredible.
I don't believe it. Kazuma-san was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asagi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment. And Asagi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize.
Inspector?
So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word.
I would like permission to investigate. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves.
I thought you might be.
You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not.
We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door.
Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin.
I'm sorry.
What?
You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you moved to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two.
I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. They think I'm a murderer as well. Can we at least get the handcuffs off?
Would it be possible to give me something to work with? Do you think I'm going to need something persuasive? What do you mean?
If I had a solid reason why the next-door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. We have his journal, right?
There may be a way.
What? Really?
Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san. By presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession.
Evidence?
It's just the same as when you were in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use.
So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next-door cabin, is it? Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with the evidence he needs to persuade the captain. Alright, so... court record? It's gonna be his journal, right? I can hear a faint whistling sound. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Alright, so, can we, that's what we'll need. Let's go back. Let's present, this, right?
What's that?
It's Kazuma's diary.
Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary.
Strange? In what way?
He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
A speckled band.
That is strange.
Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is...
Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector.
That ventilator clearly joins to the next-door cabin. That's right, so if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. That was good enough.
I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though.
Oh, darn it. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders?
Ahem, ahem, ahem. I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do.
Thank you.
Let's seize the moment then, Naruto-san. Just select move, and we can leave this cabin at last.
Move. Alright, let's see what we can find out. Alright, so that actually we're going to do that in the next episode. This is a good stopping point, I think. We've explored this whole cabin, and we've gotten a good understanding of what the mystery is all about. So presumably, we're, of course, guilty again of murdering Kazuma. Like, we didn't. So now we got to prove our innocence yet again. That's like a running theme here so far. So that will be... We'll check out the cabin next door next time. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you do like this kind of content, please make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff. If you want to watch live, we're on Twitch at twitch.tv/LR27. I have my schedule posted in the About and in the description. And if you want to see which games I'll be playing each day, I post them on twitter.com/LR27. And I hope you'll join me in the next one, guys. Until then, bye.